Hey everybody, hey Mateo, hey Cohen. Welcome back to Young Engineers of Today. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you did some fun stuff. We're going to continue with Fusion 360. You got, what you got, why you gotta be kidding me? What's up? Oh, yep. Well, we're almost done with the modeling anyway, so once we get through that, we'll move on to something else. It might be VCarve, which is a similar thing, so, in that case, I'm sorry if that gives you trouble too, but hopefully we should be done with it reasonably soon here. And then we'll be moving on to other things, which might be similar, but might not be. VCarve, as I understand it, is a CAM program. So as in computer-aided manufacturing. Um, so we'll be able to turn it into something that can be carved out of wood, an actual set of instructions that a CNC machine could use. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and get Fusion 360 opened up. Uh, Fusion. There we go. But that is it's a drop pod. So if it did, that's because atmospheric reentry generally looks pretty pretty violent. um, what do you mean? I'm not sure I'm understanding your statement, nuclear or electronic. Oh, no, a drop pod is just a science fiction concept. Yeah, we're continuing with the bookcase. It's just a science fiction concept of a small capsule that can presumably carry people or whatever in them, that are used for a like an orbiting craft to send things down to the surface of a planet. So they're not necessarily, yeah, wombats, could be wombats. Um, they're not necessarily powered. They just essentially drop from the sky and land on the planet. Yeah. Are there any life signs aboard that escape pod? Let me go ahead and get our bookshelf open. Not necessarily. It's not required. They could be wearing uh, suits. There could be a blade of shielding on it, which could prevent, insulation and a blade of shielding preventing the pod from heating up on the inside, and it could just contain enough air in it to survive the 10-minute journey down or whatever. It's probably going to have some form of just like a battery on it or something like that. And then you would that would control the electronics, which determine whether or not if there are thrusters on it to slow it down or anything like that. Why don't you check you've missed a couple. Yeah, in that case, I might recommend just checking out the videos on YouTube, because I gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I might recommend that just so that you can see all the changes, because I don't remember exactly where we were. Not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before that, I guess. I'm not sure exactly where we were then. Yeah, I would recommend just checking out the stuff on YouTube. Yeah, I know it won't be quite as exciting, but like if we do it after class, I'll probably just rush through all the steps really quickly. Whereas on the YouTube, I spent a little bit more time. Yeah, I spent a little bit more time explaining why we're doing what we're doing. So hopefully that'll help a little bit more. Plus, you can skip through all of my boring dead air parts. All right, so last time we left off, we were working on the tabs for the back of the bookcase. So let's go ahead, and if I double click on sketch 5, that should bring me to that, there we go, to that sketch. And as you can see, we dimensioned out the side tabs pretty thoroughly. However, we did not dimension out the top tab at all, and that's something we're going to have to do now before we continue with this drawing. So we need to dimension out the top tab so it's the proper height. So we already create the construction line over here and do all that business, so that should be pretty useful. Create a midpoint line. So what we need to do now is we need to dimension this top tab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sketch dimension. Don't worry about this right now, Cohen. You can actually get started once we start creating the tabs for the next part. And then, just pay attention to what we're doing here, I guess, so you understand what we're doing, but you don't have to do it at the same time. And then when we start on the sides, then you can work on that as well. Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to dimension out the top here. And just like everything else we've created so far, the width of this top tab is going to make Fusion hang up. There we go. It's going to be tab. So I'm going to hit enter twice and make it the appropriate width. So that should come as no surprise, because basically everything we've created so far has had a width of tab. However, the height of this tab is going to be a little bit different than what we've done before. So let me go ahead and dimension out the side. And instead of that being ply, that's going to be blind tab. Boop. Hit enter twice. And notice how that's a little bit thinner than our regular tab, or a little bit shorter than our regular tab length. This is only 15/100ths of an inch, I guess, 15% of an inch, 1.5 tenths of an inch, whatever you want to say, as opposed to a quarter of an inch, which we've been doing for all of our other tabs. Those have been a length of ply, and this one is a length of blind tab. Yeah, 1.5 or 0.15. Jeez. So it's a little bit different. And as we finish this, you'll get to understand why exactly it's a little bit different, and hopefully that'll make some sense. But as it stands right now, I'm just going to say, just trust me on this. It's going to be blind tab. It's not going to be ply. And then we're going to dimension the distance between this construction line here and this corner. So as you can see, as I pull it away, you can see it hanging out. It's going from the construction line to the corner of the bookcase. And that is going to be width divided by 3. Boom. So it's not all the way to the origin, it's just to the edge of the back wall, which is fine. That should be just fine. But yeah, that's going to be our distance from the midpoint line here to the edge of the back wall. That'll be width divided by 3. So now we've got everything on the back dimensioned out. Go ahead and raise your hand once you've gotten those dimensioned. All right, we got one hand up so far. Cool. A 2. A 3. Oh, nice, Colin. Excellent. Oh, yeah, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. I understand that, you don't have the preceding stuff done yet, so, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll give everybody just a few more minutes before we move on to the next bit, which you should probably already be able to anticipate what exactly it is that we're doing, but you shall see. I agree, Matteo. Yeah, I'm not sure either, because I don't know what that last symbol represents. like 1 or 2 more minutes. All right, we got another hand up. Excellent. Okay, so we've got our tabs dimensioned out. As you probably anticipated, we're going to go ahead and extrude them. So I'm going to go to create and extrude. I'm going to go ahead and click on these little tabaroonies. I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry. And then just like we've done before, under extent, we're going to select two object, and we're going to select the front face, well, the opposite face. And then if we just click on extend faces here, boom, now they've appeared. On top of that, under operation, we're going to go ahead and select new body, just so they're separated from the rest of the back of the bookcase, so that we can easily mirror them across the plane. And then I'll hit OK. And just like we've done, 3 or 4 times before now, we've got our new little extra sort of bodies resting on the back wall. Then we're going to go back to create, go down to mirror, and we're going to go ahead and mirror these tabs. So let's go ahead and select bodies, select the 3 different tabs, and then under mirror plane, we're going to select that midpoint plane, or that midplane that we created, and hit OK. Finally, once they're mirrored, we're going to go ahead and combine them again. So under target body, we'll select the entire back of the bookcase, and then tool bodies, we'll select all the tabs. Make sure it's on join, hit OK, and bam. We've got our tabs. And then just go ahead and raise your hand once you've done that. All right. One hand so far. Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to drink some more of my coffee. Old coffee. log of 347 times the natural log of 17 plus 17 e to the x divided by 7x times pi equals the absolute value of x times 25 all times 3. Solve for x. Ew. I'm assuming that's e to the x and not just another variable called e. Yeah, that's ugly. No, no. I mean, I guess you could turn log 347 and natural log 17 into presumably whole numbers. So then it'd be whatever plus 7e to the x. You could turn it into 3 times the absolute value of x times 75, which becomes 225 times the natural value of x, or the absolute value of x. You could take a 7x out of, no, you can't. No, you can. You could take a 7x out of the first half of the equation. Divide everything by pi. You'd end up with some answer that's something over x plus, oh, you couldn't do 7e to the x, so you could do e to the x over x. Or pi x, I suppose. And then turning that, yep, that would just be a pain. That would be a huge pain. Yeah, yeah, agreed. But it gave me an opportunity to sort of think about solving mathematical equations again. You probably have to multiply both halves by x, some multiplier of x, in order to get the x over onto one side. And then that would become x squared. Yeesh. No, because the absolute value, that's the problem. You can't do the absolute value of x multiplied by x and have it turn into x squared. At least I don't think. Yeah, no, you can. Cannot. That's gross. Okay. Does everybody have an understanding of what was done here at least? Raise your hand if you are unsure. Raise your hand if you know you're just working on it. Okay, raise your hand because I said so. All right, just making sure people are listening. I got 2 hands out of that. Well, regardless, let's go ahead and let's take a look at what we got so far. So let me go ahead and bring up all of the bodies again, and maybe that'll give you a better idea of why we did the blind tab. So now we've got everything showing, and as you can see, we've got our tabs showing on the sides over here, just like before. Except check this out. Let me rotate and move to the appropriate spot. See how our tabs don't quite make it up to the top of the top of the bookcase? For all these other tabs, as you can see, they poke out, so they're visible. These tabs are meant to be hidden, hence the name blind tab. That's actually the whole point of them. A blind tab is meant to be invisible. If we wanted to, we could actually make these all blind tabs and make it so that they're a little bit shorter, and while they still embed themselves into the side or the back or whatever of something, they're not visible to somebody using the bookcase. The only thing about blind tabs is, since they're smaller, they tend to have less uh, as far as like a grip on the other parts are concerned. So in order to increase stability, we're keeping most of the tabs as regular tabs. We're keeping these top tabs as blind tabs, just sort of because it looks nicer, and yeah, it looks nicer. It's purely an aesthetics thing. Yeah, that's really all it is. It's just aesthetics. So now we've got tabs on almost everything. There is actually one part of the bookcase that does not yet have tabs, and that part, the sides of the bookcase. I know I just took both sides and turned them into one part, but yeah, whatever. Um, as an entity representing the sides of the bookcase, that part does not have any tabs yet. We'll say that. So let's go ahead and let's hide all of them except for, let's see here, the right of the bookcase. So hide, 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 hide. So now we got the right side of the bookcase showing, and it's just a plain old plank of wood. And we're going to go ahead and turn that into a tabbed part of the bookcase, just like everything else. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So this is the right wall. I'm going to make some tabs on the right face of the right wall. That is to say, the outside face of the bookcase. So let's go ahead and create a new sketch, and I'm going to select I'm just going to mouse over that face and click once in order to start drawing my sketch here. See how we can see the midplane. I'm just going to hide it real quick. But this is where we're going to want to draw our rectangles. We're going to do this along the top of the right wall. The reason I'm using the right wall is because all of our sketches that we've created before on the side walls have existed on the left wall of the bookcase. Well, that's fine. I'm trying to keep it as uncluttered of sketches as I possibly can. So I'm working from the right wall right now so that the left wall doesn't end up having a third sketch on it. That's really the only reason, but you could totally work with the left wall if you wanted to. So now, just like we've done a few times before, we're going to go ahead and create a couple of rectangles. Just 1 and 2. Again, with no regard to their size or position. The only thing I ask is that you don't place it on the midpoint of the sidewall. That's the only thing, because that's going to create that's going to create a constraint, and that's going to make your life harder, which is annoying. So we're going to go ahead and just make sure that that's not on the middle of the top, just to either side. But once we've done that, as you can see, we've got our two rectangles here. And then we're going to go ahead and dimension those out. Cohen, you can actually do this as well. This part is totally fine to do, because this is a new, okay, excellent. Awesome. So yeah, that's going to be our, those are going to be our two rectangles for our tabs. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create those construction lines for those. So again, as a quick refresher on how to do that, we can click on line up here, zoom in, and place our cursor on the top line of one of the rectangles we just drew. As you can see, you get that blue X at your cursor, letting you know you're on the line. And if we move it right to the midpoint, we get the little triangle that appears there as well. So we got the blue X and the triangle, which lets us know we're at the midpoint of that top line. And then we just draw straight down to the midpoint of the bottom line. And again, we've got the little 90-degree thing letting us know it's a 90-degree angle. Perfect. And let's just go ahead and do that for the other one. Select the top midpoint, draw down to the bottom midpoint. Bam, done. And looking at it, we know that these have been separated into two rectangles. But that's because these are not construction lines. So if I hit escape to bring up just my regular old cursor again, and I click on that middle line, as you can see, it gets highlighted and becomes a little bit thicker and a little bit glowier than the other lines on the rectangle. And then over here in the sketch palette, I can just click on this normal/construction icon, and boop, it turns into an orange dashed line. Mousing over that rectangle, it again becomes just one single rectangle, which means that it is a construction line. Perfect, that's exactly what we wanted. I'm going to go ahead and do that with this line over here. Click on it, select normal/construction, verify that it is a construction line because it is orange and dashed, and if I mouse over the rectangle that I drew, it is one solid rectangle instead of two halves. Perfect. You don't have what? The sketch palette? Or the, okay. Alternatively, if you're absolutely sure you have that line selected, you can hit the X key on your keyboard, and that will actually swap it between normal and construction. Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we've created our two rectangles. We need to dimension them, their dimensions, and their position. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Sketch Dimension. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to dimension this to have a width of tab, just like we've done with all of our tabs before. Hit Enter twice. Boom. 1.5 inches, just like before. Dimension both of these to be tab. So they're both at a width of tab. Now, let's take a guess. What do you think the height of these tabs are going to be dimensioned to? Yeah, exactly. They're going to be dimensioned to blind tab. Because remember, these tabs are embedded into the top of the bookcase, and we want them to be those nice looking blind tabs so that they're not showing through on the top. So go ahead and dimension the height of each of these tabs to be blind tab. Boop. Perfect. All right, I don't know why I started mouth trumpeting the A-Team theme. It's just stuck in my head. Your tab parameter might be off. So is your tab width 3 inches instead of 1.5 inches? Okay. All right. In that case, what I want you to do, Cohen, is I want you to go up to Modify and then Change Parameters. Let me know once you have that window open. Okay. Under Tab, can you tell me what the expression is there? Is it 1.5 or is it 3? Just go ahead and double-click on the expression and change it to be 1.5 and hit Enter. Before you click OK, I want you to check your ply value as well and read that off to me. Okay, it's the same as mine. It's 0.25. Awesome. Excellent. So go ahead and hit OK, and you should see the tabs automatically resize themselves so that they are the appropriate width. Did that work? Awesome. All right. So a couple more things we needed to mention. I wanted to mention the corner, the upper left-hand corner of this wall to the midpoint line. What do you think that's going to be? It's presumably going to be something divided by 3, but which dimension do you think it's going to be? Not quite. It's not going to be ply. Think about, okay, so look at the bookcase as a whole in your mind. And nah, it isn't going to be ply divided by 3 either. Height, you're getting closer. So, okay, picture the entire bookcase in your head. Yeah, you got it, Hannah. And run along width, height, and then there's a third one, right? That third one is going to be depth. That's how, yeah, exactly. That's how deep the bookcase is. So this is going to be depth divided by 3. Because remember, this right here, this end is the front of the bookcase, and then this end is the back of the bookcase. And I could not have picked 2 worse colors to be visible, but that's okay, because I'm erasing those drawings right now. So yeah, this is going to be depth divided by 3, and then we're going to sketch the dimension from the midpoint line on this one to the midpoint line on this one to also be depth divided by 3. Hit enter, bam. Now we've got our tabs dimensioned out. So not only do we have their actual dimensions, we also have their placement dimensions on the top of the sidewall. Excellent. So those tabs are ready to be extruded. So let's go ahead and go up to Create and then Extrude. And then I'm just going to go ahead and rotate the bookcase so that they're on the back end. Select both of them. And remember, we want to extrude it to object. So under Extent, make sure you have it to object and select the opposite wall on that, or the opposite face on that sidewall. You're probably going to get an error like me, in which case under Chain Faces, you've got two options there. Select Extend Faces, and it should show up. And then finally, just like we've done before, under Operation, you're going to select New Body and hit OK. And just like that, we've got our, yeah, for sure. We go ahead and undo that. Boom, rotate, create, and then extrude. I'm going to select the two rectangles we sketched. So now they're selected. As you can see, they're highlighted blue. Under Extent, I'm going to select two objects. I'm going to click on the opposite face of that wall. It's going to give me an error down here, Tool Body Creation Failed. That's fine. Under Chain Faces, I'm going to select Extend Faces. And as you can see, they extend all the way across to the other side. Then finally, under Operation, I'm going to select New Body, and that separates them, and they become these little gray rectangular prisms, gray boxes sitting on top of the sidewall. And I'm going to hit OK. And so now I got these two gray boxes sitting on top of the sidewall. Shabow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my construction midplane again, and I'm going to unhide the left wall. Two guesses as to what we're doing. Yeah, we're going to mirror it. So go over to Create and then Mirror. Make sure the pattern type selected is Bodies. Yeah, you're going to put New Body so that they show up as little gray boxes on top of that sidewall. All right, so just like before, we're going to mirror it. So check it out. Remember, pattern type has to be bodies so that we select these actual boxes instead of just a face on the box. Go ahead and select these two boxes, these two tabs that you created, and then click on the little select option for mirror plane and select your midplane, and it will reflect across. Hit OK, and you'll see some gray boxes appear on the other wall. Perfect. That is exactly what we want. Mirror is under Create. If you click on Create and scroll all the way down almost to the bottom of Mirror or Create, you'll see Mirror there. And if you mouse over it, you've got this nice little tooltip that pops up that's got something that looks like a motorcycle body or an X-Acto knife setup or something. Who knows? And that will be your mirror option. And then, okay, so let me go ahead and undo it, and I'll show you the steps again. So I'm going to go to Mirror. Under Pattern Type, as you can see, we've got Faces, Bodies, Features, and Components. We want to make sure that Bodies is selected. And then you're going to have Objects highlighted. As you can see here, the little Select box is blue. I want to select both of these tabs that we just created as our bodies. As our objects. As you can see, two selected, and our two new tabs are highlighted in blue. And then once I've done that, I'm going to click on Mirror Plane, and this asks us the plane that we're going to mirror these tabs around. And I'm going to select that mid plane that we created way early on in our bookcase design. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And as you can see, we've got I can't zoom in too far because it doesn't show up, but I got these faint gray sort of ghosts of tabs on the other side. That's great. That's exactly where I want them to be. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and then they'll turn solid to let me know that I have, in fact, actually mirrored those tabs over to the other side. And then the final thing that we're going to do, I'm going to go up to Modify and then Combine. We have a target body, and we have tool bodies, and we have an operation. Our target body is going to be one of these walls. Basically, if we have the operation be join, what's happening is we're joining the tool bodies to the target body. And we're making the target body be the parent body. Basically, the tool bodies are going to inherit the properties of the target body. They're going to become a part of the target body as opposed to becoming a new body or anything like that. So we want the target body to be that sidewall. Then we want the tool bodies to be the tabs on that sidewall. So we're going to do this one wall at a time. I'm going to start with the left wall and combine the two tabs to the left wall. So under target body, I have one selected, which is the sidewall. Under tool bodies, I have two selected, which are the tabs on the sidewall. And under operation, I'm making sure that join is the operation that I have. And then I'm going to hit and make sure these two boxes are unchecked. And then I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see, just like we've done before, the tabs are now a part of the sidewall. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other sidewall. So let's move Combine over so that I can see it. Select our two tabs, hit OK, and bam. And that, as they say, is that. I know they're not terribly clever or original, but you know, whatever. Anyway, that actually, with that, we've put all of the tabs into our bookcase. So what I encourage you guys to do, if you're not sure about any of this, is just to go ahead and go over the videos, maybe give them once through again and make sure everything's set up the same way. On Wednesday, we are actually going to set it up so that there are holes in these bodies to account for the tabs, because as you can see, as I've explained before, for instance, the shelf has tabs on it, but if we were to hide the shelf, there are no actual holes in the walls that the shelf is supposed to slot into. So that's what we're going to spend the time doing on Wednesday, is we're going to create the holes to slot the tabs into. That might also mean that we have a little bit of a shorter class than usual on Wednesday, although I doubt it. I'm going to try and get us into VCarve at least a little bit on Wednesday, hopefully, if nothing else, just so that you guys can take a look at it and, you know, get familiar with it. We might spend the entire time creating the holes and finalizing the bookcase anyway, because there are a couple of other things we got to do, like we have to extend out the sides on the top of the bookcase so that the tabs are actually fully embedded in them. We'll have to extend out the back of the sides for the same reason. We'll take a look at all this stuff and you know, sort of get this bookcase completely done. Certainly by Wednesday. That's what I anticipate, that we'll have everything done on the bookcase on Wednesday. With that though, it is 8:52. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the poll questions, just like we always do, and then I'll leave it up for question and answer time, just like we always do. And then, you know, after the poll questions are done, if you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to head out. Otherwise, I'm here. It doesn't have to be related to the lesson, just like always. It can be related to anything. But if you don't have any questions, you can head out. Have a wonderful couple of days, and we will see you on Wednesday.